police operator.
Yes, get the cop over here. Somebody got shot at 201 Linden Boulevard.
Somebody got shot on Linden and Rogers.
Shots on Linden between Ocean and Rogers. Somebody died.
He's bleeding. You need to get an ambulance over here.
Yeah. Brooklyn.
My name is Gary Benloss. I have spent 22 years, 22 long, painful, long years in prison for a crime I did not commit.
Gary Benloss had the extreme misfortune of living in the neighborhood where this horrible crime occurred in broad daylight. He wasn't involved, he wasn't at the scene, he just happened to live across the street.
How did my name even get placed in this case in the first place?
So early on in this case, the cops visit this guy Holder, Anthony Holder, who was the superintendent of the building where Gary lived and didn't like Gary for whatever reason. Now he knew Gary's nickname was Chucky, and he threw out this name, almost pulled out of thin air, the name Chucky, maybe to get the cops off his back, I don't know. Didn't mention Gary's name, his legal name, just Chucky. And then the cops developed tunnel vision from that point forward and focused, almost laser focused on Gary.
Gary gets into the photo array through McGurn, Detective McGurn, who knows Gary. He suggests to the investigating detective that Gary is the man named Chucky.
There's really no way of looking at that and thinking that it wasn't an obvious attempt to sway the eyewitness using an earlier photo where looked darker, looked lighter in terms of pounds, and had shorter hair.
The lineup is conducted by Robert Reedy.
The eyewitnesses had all talked about the height and weight of the perpetrator.
What does Robert Reedy do to get around them? Sits them all down and he puts a shower cap on top of everybody.
You have detectives who obviously knew that they had a problem with their suspect and were trying to mask that information to the witness. Shady practices in the past probably indicate the likelihood of shady practices in the future. We have a situation where the woman was called to testify and was unable to identify in the courtroom.
Prior to my arrest, a gentleman by the name of Roger Isaacs was arrested for the same crime.
The funny thing is Roger Isaac matches the description of the perpetrator. And that's why they get him. What do you think they say to him in the precinct? Do you want to go to prison for murder?
First of all, he's placed himself at various different spots. So he's been all over the place with his description of where he was. Other witnesses said they didn't even see him at the scene at all. So he probably wasn't even there. And third of all, he made up a scenario where he said that not only was the victim shot, but there was another victim, a little girl who was shot. But that never happened.
I was assassinated inside of a courtroom and sentenced to 25 years to life before the age of 25.
The first graduation I ever attended for my brother, I don't remember because I was so small. To see him now accomplishing so much, going to school while he's in there, being able to attend his graduation last year was like, wow, you know. Having my nephew was like having that piece of my brother. He'd walk around with a picture of my brother in his pocket. And I remember every time Christmas would come or his birthday, you'd give him money. He'd say, okay, I'm gonna add this to the money I have. He's like, I'm gonna take it and pay the police to bring my dad home. Yeah.
On August 17, 2020, I received a birthday card from my son. Happy birthday to the real OG. I know you can't be out here with me and wishing things could have been different, but I always reminded myself to never regret what I have, because then I wouldn't have you. I appreciate and love you, Dad. Hopefully when you get out, we can make up for lost times. I love you, Pops. Sincerely, your son, Isaiah Benloss.
November 20th, 2003 is when I was sentenced to 25 years to life. November 20th, 2021, my son died. Two days of my life I will never forget.
A couple hours before Isaiah's accident, they had their last conversation. And Isaiah's question to my brother was, Dad, when are you coming home? When they're given these sentences, especially when they're giving it to someone and the person's being wrongfully convicted, or you're looking at a person because of their ethnicity or the neighborhood they're coming from. You're not looking at, you know, who is this individual? You're not getting to know this individual's story. It's like, how do you sleep at night? You know, because we can't sleep.
22 years later, here I am still talking about it. Still not free, still not exonerated, still dealing with this shit.